There is finally some news about Wheel of Time Season 3 and maybe some things about Season 4. Today, I'll get you caught up on all of the news surrounding the show and we'll break it all down. Let's cover some Wheel of Time news. Before we dive in, for those of you who love book content more than TV show stuff, I just put out a video breaking down the Battle of Foam from the books, including animated illustrations of most of the book. I did one of those in the past with the Battle of the Two Rivers, and this is a new one in that series. I'll be doing more of these as well. You can check out that video, clicking up here somewhere, or just waiting till the end of the video and I'll have it linked for you. Also, if you like Wheel of Time book and TV show content, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel because that's all I do here. And obviously be aware of spoilers by looking here. But let's get into the news. So we'll start with a story that may or may not have anything to do with the Wheel of Time, but the implications of this story could have some bearing, or I guess might be related, so it's worth mentioning. And that is, of course, Wheel of Time showrunner Rafe Judkins and his role with the God of War series. Now, to get you caught up if you were not aware, Sony Pictures Television and Amazon MGM Studios, the same two studios that are behind the Wheel of Time series, purchased the rights and began production for an on-screen adaptation of the God of War video game franchise. Now, God of War is a very popular video game franchise following Kratos, the God of War, as he battles Norse gods and monsters and all kinds of stuff. In December of 2022, Rafe Judkins was announced as an executive producer and writer for that project. At the time, many were worried that this signaled that Rafe would be leaving the Wheel of Time. But as I said at the time, executive producers and writers are always working on multiple projects, and Rafe still has a contract with Sony for development for a number of properties for them. Well, fast forward to this year. In fact, just a month or so ago, it was announced that Rafe was no longer a part of the God of War and that Sony and Amazon were quote-unquote starting over on the creative direction of the project and that they would be bringing on new writers and producers for the project. So in other words, Rafe is out at God of War. Now, what was missing from the announcement is why he was leaving, and leaving us to decide what that might mean for the future of the Wheel of Time series, but also Rafe's involvement with Sony's projects. At least part of that question was answered, however. In the press release from Deadline, where they actually released all the information here, it was said that Rafe would continue his development work with Sony. Also noted was apparently that the scripts for the God of War that he helped create were praised by both Sony and Amazon. So apparently the change wasn't because the quality was bad, but more just a change in direction. So what does it all mean? Well, frankly, it could mean absolutely nothing. Something as simple as Rafe wanting to take the show in a different direction, and it just could have resulted in a change. Or the optimistic viewpoint from a Wheel of Time perspective is that he won't have time now because Season 4 is going to be greenlit. We'll talk more about that last piece here in a little bit, but nevertheless, it's an interesting bit of news. So what do you think about Rafe being out from God of War? Does that bode well for the Wheel of Time or not? Let me know in the comments of the video. Next, let's discuss a scoop from WhatSeries.com that came out over this past summer, but I think it's important to bring up now and discuss. First of all, if you regularly want to follow Wheel of Time news, I highly recommend WhatSeries.com. They are the best place to get accurate Wheel of Time news, hands down. But let's discuss a story they broke over the summer about the budgets for the Wheel of Time in Seasons 1 and Seasons 2. Before diving into the figures, it's important to understand that studios rarely release exact numbers on their spending, so it's left to some sleuthing to put all of these things together. What really isn't up for debate, though, is that Wheel of Time is one of the most expensive television shows ever made from a production standpoint, only surpassed by a handful of other properties. So according to WhatSeries.com's research, Wheel of Time Season 1 cost roughly $140 million to produce, coming in at roughly $17.5 million per episode. This accounts for the reshoots that were necessary for Season 1 due to the COVID-19 stoppage of filming multiple times. Season 2 had a budget of $124 million, or roughly $15.5 million per episode. Slightly lower than Season 1, but again, Season 1 had reshoots due to COVID-19. So how does this compare to other shows? Well, for one, it makes Wheel of Time one of the most expensive shows ever produced, even if it is slightly overshadowed by some of the larger budget shows that have come out in the last few years. For example, also produced by Amazon is Rings of Power, which took an incredible $58 million per episode to create, firmly cementing it as the most expensive television show ever created, but a lot of that cost was also in acquiring the rights. Stranger Things, in its last couple seasons now, has come in roughly at $30 million per episode, and while most of the Marvel television shows on Disney Plus have been around $25 million. House of the Dragon is around $20 million, but next in the range that Wheel of Time fits in is Apple's C, the original Game of Thrones run, The Sandman. Those are all in that $15 to $20 million range per episode. Regardless, they're spending a lot of money on these shows, and Wheel of Time is no exception. Next, we have some new leaked audition scripts from the show to break down. Now, these scripts come courtesy again of WhatSeries.com. I should add, though, whenever these have come out in the past, I would normally offer you caution, as rarely are they exactly what ends up in the show, but these leaked scripts have proven to be pretty close in past seasons. So, this could be a pretty good preview of some of the things that we might see in Season 3. The first script is for an Aes Sedai. It's an audition script for an Aes Sedai with the code name of J. Oftentimes they'll use code names to basically represent characters or places or things, and we just have to figure it out. But given the nature of the script, this is likely one of the Black Aja sisters that left the tower with Liandrin in the books. Since we already had Joya in Season 2, that leaves Jain. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. So let's go ahead and dive into this script. Warder: Jain, are you hurt? I felt you. Jain: I told you there were other dark friends at the tower, but surely not all these men are. They're not. You misunderstand, my love. I'm the one sworn to the dark. No, darling. Fighting won't help you now. Nothing will. A lifetime of training with your shiny swords, and what's it come to? Incapacitated by a mere fraction of a droplet of my power. The very idea that we require protection from you is insulting. I loved you. I know. Oh yes, I can feel it. Thank you, my love, for this final gift. So obviously, from the nature of this scene, this is taking place in the tower as the Black Aja make themselves known and leave the tower. This happens off screen in the books, but it appears that we will get these scenes in the show, something that I'm really excited about. We already know from past interviews that this is likely to happen early in the season, probably early in episode 1 even. It also lines up with things that I have heard that they're excited for us to see about episode 1, particularly the beginning. The only question I have is why Jane wanted her warder to be killed so that she could feel something. It's odd because in the books, the Black Aja tend to leave the non-Dark Friend warders alive simply so they don't have to deal with their deaths because it does affect them. So not sure what's going on with that. I guess we'll have to find out. The next scene, though, is another scene involving the Black Aja, but this time it's a scene that we don't end up getting until the Shadow Rising in the books. The Aes Sedai name in this script is just nicknamed A, which given the context of the scene implies that it is Amiko, another of the Black Aja sisters that left with Liandrin. Please, no more. I've told you all I know of Liandrin's plan. She never trusted me with all the details. She always thought I was too weak. Well, lucky for us, she was right. Please stop. I'll answer all your questions. Who runs the Black Aja? We work in thirds, and we only know 2 others. That way we can't betray our greater number. Well, who is your third? Our third remains in the tower. Give me her name. I want to see my family before I die. Bring them to me, and I swear I'll give you her name. I've been defeated. You've taken everything from me. I have no loyalty to the dark, not anymore. Bring me my family, please. The implication of this scene is that Amiko was stilled, just as she was in the books. She's likely being questioned by the person that did that, given the way that she talks about things. So my guess is the questioner here is Egwene. What do you think, though, of these audition scripts? Let me know in the comments of the video what you think they mean for Season 3. And once again, thank you to WhatSeries.com for the information. So the Wheel of Time online fandom was surprised the other day by a post from Yosha Stradowski, the actor that plays Rand al'Thor on the show, posting a shot of him in an elevator with the caption, London Watt Press. Now, of course, this fired up speculation as to what was going on. The Dusty Wheel went as far to mention that I might have been there as well, and while I cannot confirm that, I definitely can deny that I was in London. I can actually shed some light, though, on what was happening here. The first 2 episodes of season 3 were screened for the cast and crew for the first time. Now, they've done something similar each year, albeit typically closer to the release date of the show than this time around. And while everyone is remaining tight-lipped about everything pertaining to release dates, I think there are some things that we can extrapolate from this. For one, the episodes are likely complete or near complete. At least the first 2 episodes are. And second, that means that we are likely very near to a release date. I'd predicted March or April as the release timing, and I stand by this prediction. I think that we're likely going to get something in March or April. So when might we get that announcement? So a few weeks back, it was announced that Wheel of Time would be getting main stage time at CCXP 22, which is Comic-Con hosted in Brazil. Now, this is a major event, and representatives from most major network shows that have upcoming releases are all going to be represented on the main stage there. It was announced that Yosha Stradowski, Madeline Madden, and Rafe would be present for the convention, and it would be taking place on December 7th. Now, this is not the first time that Wheel of Time had a major spotlight at Comic-Con. Before the release of Season 1, scenes were previewed to those in attendance at New York Comic-Con. So what can we expect from Comic-Con on December 7th when it comes to the Wheel of Time? Well, based on where we are in the cycle, here's what I'd expect. I think, number one, I think that we're going to get a teaser trailer. I think if they are ready to show off episodes 1 and 2, then they are likely ready to show off some of the season. The past teaser trailers have been fairly revealing and usually have come a few months before the release of the show. So I think that's what we're going to get, and I'm actually really, really excited to break all of that down. Number 2, I think we're going to get the release date. I think as part of the teaser trailer release, I think we're going to get the release date announcement as well, typically at the end of that teaser trailer. Number 3, I think it's possible that we'll get some casting announcements, probably ones that we already know of, but just getting them publicly confirmed. So, for example, I could see Shohreh Aghdashloo being officially confirmed as a Lyda at Comic-Con. It's something we already know, but they've been very tight-lipped about. Fourth, and also I think far less likely, but still possible, I think we could see a scene shown to the crowd. And I say that tongue-in-cheek because the way Amazon does these things, it will not be shown to anybody other than who's in person at Comic-Con. It won't be shown publicly, it won't be online, and it won't be released to social media. We've received scenes like that before at WatCon, or just simply even clips from the cast that I was only able to show at the in-person event. I still have clips on my computer that I've never been able to show again. So I doubt many of those that are going to be paying attention at home to what's going on or watching Comic-Con virtually, I doubt we're going to get to see them. But what are you looking for at Comic-Con in December? What news do you think we'll get? And what would you like to see? Let me know in the comments of the video. So the elephant in the room in any discussion about the Wheel of Time TV show is whether or not season 4 is going to happen. I've seen people's takes, supposedly from insiders. I've personally heard from internal sources. And the one thing that I can tell you for certain is that if anybody actually knows, or the people that do actually know, aren't saying anything. At this point, this is an Amazon decision, and I'm not even sure that Rafe knows what's going on, let alone cast, crew, anybody else. The cast and crew are waiting for the answer to this just as much as we are. So is that bad news? Well, not really. It's only bad news insofar as the show did not receive an automatic renewal prior to season 3 being greenlit. But given the climate from the last year with studios, negotiations, and strikes, that was not likely to happen anyway. The show has quite a bit going for it. For one, the previous 2 seasons were pretty popular on Amazon. They're actually among their most popular shows ever. Wheel of Time is also an existing IP with a very large fan base. So even though there are many book fans who don't love where they're taking the show, there's still a very large built-in audience that raises the floor for viewership. And most importantly to Amazon, keeps people from canceling their Amazon Prime service. Season 2 was also received far better than Season 1. So critically, the show is improving. But it's not all roses and rainbows. For one, this is a very, very expensive show to produce, as we've discussed. When you spend a lot of money to make a show, you have higher expectations on the results, which for Amazon means new Amazon Prime memberships and viewership. Second, the viewership did not really increase season over season. In fact, it dipped a bit. It remained steady throughout the season, which is a major plus in streaming services. So basically, if you started the season, you tended to finish it. But the total audience did not grow season over season. So what do I think? Are we getting season 4? Well, I have just as much of an idea as anybody else, which is nothing. My guess is that Amazon is going to completely wait until season 3 has run its course, look at the engagement, ratings, other internal figures that they measure, and make a determination as to whether or not they want to invest in another season of a show. I am not convinced that we will know anything about season 4 until at least the summer of 2025. I know that's not what many of you wanted to hear, but I think that's the reality that we're looking at. I don't think that that bodes well or bad for the show. I just think that we're not going to know until then. So we need season 3 to be great if you want to see a season 4. And the last thing today, but worth mentioning nonetheless. Previously Twitter, now X, has been pretty much where the Wheel of Time community has congregated over the last few years, shared their collective fandom for the Wheel of Time. Collectively known as Twitter of Time, it's been great. We've interacted with the Wheel of Time fan accounts, the show account, lots of different interactions around the Wheel of Time. But I think it's worth mentioning that while that platform is not completely dead, there are still tons of users on Twitter. A lot of the major players in the Wheel of Time fandom are migrating their accounts over to Blue Sky, which is a relatively new social media platform that's very similar to how Twitter used to be under the, let's call it the previous regime. I have migrated my presence over there and I enjoy the interactions far more. My tag on Blue Sky is DJ Nae'Blis, so feel free to give me a follow over on Blue Sky. If you don't have a Blue Sky account, I highly recommend it. A lot of the creator accounts, but also a lot of the fan accounts are moving over there. It's totally free. It's a refreshing platform that doesn't have hate speech tied to it. It's growing day by day. So I'm hoping I will see you over on Blue Sky. But yes, that is the Wheel of Time news. So let me know what you think in the comments of the video. If you like the video, go ahead and give it a like. And subscribe to the channel if you like Wheel of Time content. I'll be covering the TV show as well as posting regular book-related content here as well. Huge thank you to my patrons who support what I do here on the channel. If you'd like to support me, check out the link in the description of the video. And if you like this video, I think you're going to like this one right here, especially this one about the Battle of Falme. Thank you for watching, and until next time, peace out.